Morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to our Commissioner Status Update. It's December 31st, 2024. Time is 10 a.m. In attendance are Commissioners Brooks, Matari, and Duncan. Are there changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none. I'll call for public comment. Okay, just come up to microphone, please.
I already mentioned this to Bruce before the meeting. I had seen on the agenda under the advisory boards that they were all appointments. And I just wanted to express concern that I know, like when you guys redid the people you appointed to Panhandle Health, you had interviews. And I thought that was very transparent to the public. And I just want to prevent someone like McLandris, who was on the Panhandle Health Board and was appointed. I don't feel like there was enough transparency way back, what was that, 5 or 6 years when he was appointed? Or more. And so I just like you guys to consider, like, I know you don't need to interview everybody because that would be very, very time consuming, but maybe something in the middle to show more transparency would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, our first item, Justice Building update. So we will go to our second item and see if Mr. Mendez is on his way. So, okay. Item 2, so advisory board applications. I put this on here because on the 17th, we kind of talked about we were going to conduct interviews, and then all of the appointments showed up on the agenda without interviewing. So I wanted to, he's going to call in. Okay. So then I wanted to have that discussion because the public and I thought that we were holding interviews. And so with the appointments on today's business meeting, I see that that's not the case. So I do have some concerns with the 3 advisory boards that I mentioned: airport, the agricultural protection area, and planning and zoning. So if the both of you changed your mind, you don't want interviews, that's fine. We just have to do it in a public meeting, and then that would give me an opportunity to change my course of action and call these people myself and do phone interviews or in person. So.
Yeah, I can tell you that it really just came down to, we talked about this in a meeting, and then I was presented with what are my preferences, and I looked at the various different applicants, and I said, well, these are the ones I would prefer. Some of the people you wanted to interview, I wasn't opposed to it, but I kind of felt like I wouldn't be interested in it, so I just put down my preferences, and next thing I know, this is on the business meeting. I had no knowledge that that was going to happen prior. And it just, ended up on there.
Okay. So then what I would ask for today then, that we take off the ag protection appointments, and then, well, let me go one by one, sorry. So on the airport, we have alternates. So I would prefer that the longest standing alternate be offered the full board position first before we take any outsider for the open position. So that's what I would prefer. And then appoint alternates to fill that vacancy that way. So again, I don't mind keeping on the reappointment of Stephen Anderson to the board, and then
so is the policy taking, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Is the policy taking the longest standing alternate, or just the board picking an alternate to fill that position? Because one is a process that doesn't require any thought process or decision by the board. The other is the board looks at the alternates and says, I think this person would be a good person on the board itself. So what exactly are you saying?
So it can be done either way. I like to at least talk about it and say, okay, we've got 2 alternates. They're both interested in that position on the board. Mm-hmm. And, I would prefer at this point, I think, all things being equal, that the longest standing alternate should move up in this particular case.
Yeah, well, I kind of disagree, but I understand your point. I think that the argument of being the longest standing one, if we're looking at complete apples to apples, I guess you could use that for your thought process. I just looked at it and I just said, I'm okay with this person being the member on the board. That's what we do. We appoint these people. We typically do this at the end, before the end of the year. And I don't know why this has taken longer than it should have.
Because we opened it back up.
Well, okay, but we let some weeks go by where we could have been a little more expedient on it. And quite frankly, this person who applied wasn't even in our original list. They were overlooked. So, but, again, I don't really understand why we're just slowing this down. We have the people. We made the decision. I respect your thought process on it, but I'm not quite sure I agree with it.
Okay, so when you say we've made the decision, who is we and what decision was
Well,
made?
the decision was, like I said, I was handed a piece of paper, which would be your preference, right? And so it ended up on the board meeting. As far as we goes, there's no we. I meant that in the sense that it's on this meeting agenda for the
Okay.
business meeting.
All right. So it sounds like we'll just deal with the with the airport one by one today in the business meeting. So what's your thoughts on that, Bill?
Well, I think the individual that I recommended has the most experience in terms of aviation, and that's why I recommended him.
Okay. All right, so for the Agricultural Protection Act, again, I would like to interview some of these people. Two of the people who were brought forward have, they're also obligated to other advisory boards. And so I wanted to kind of open up our appointments to other people outside. That's why I wanted to interview. So I would ask that we deal with the APA not today. And then I'm okay with all the fair appointments.
And the P&Z.
Oh, no, P&Z was my last one. So hold on here. No, because the one person brought forward is already on another full-time board that takes, it's a monthly commitment, and planning and zoning takes, several meetings a month. So I would have wanted to interview one gentleman that I thought would be a good fit as well. So I would say the reappointment for both Slater and Anderson, I'm fine to go forward with those, but I wanted to interview somebody for planning and zoning.
Well, I guess, again, this whole issue came about because I was presented with this chart and I put my preference down with it based upon the applicant's information. I completely respect the fact what was said earlier on public comment about, wanting to interview some people and that you can't interview everyone. With respect to the agricultural protection area, on that one, I don't know who you're referring to, who's on too many boards, but of the people I looked at, the ones that I focused on were landowners, because this is going to be, longtime farmers, because that is what this particular board is for, and it's an advisory board. Mm-hmm. It's not a board that makes decisions, and then the county commissioners have to just follow it. It's an advisory board like any other advisory board where they come before us. They give us their side of what they come up with, mm-hmm. and we either agree or we don't agree with it. And I would argue that, if anything, we would want people who are deeply entrenched in the agricultural side. So the people I looked at who applied, I felt very comfortable with that and their background. Now, if there's a particular person that's on too many boards, I'm certainly open to having that discussion with you and understanding that thought process.
Well, not having interviewed the people I want to interview, I can't make that determination. So if we come down to it and our choice is to appoint somebody who's already on another board, then we can make that decision at this time. But at this point, I don't have that information because I've not interviewed the people I'd like to. So again, I'm asking to put off the agriculture advisory board on today's business meeting.
Until next business meeting?
Yep. I think I can get a hold of enough people in 1 week to do that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay? Bill?
Sounds fine.
Okay. So I will check, is Mr. Mendez on the line today?
But P and Z, I'm good with.
Yes.
My picks on that.
Okay, so I am not, so we'll just have to deal with that if you're not going to take it off the agenda for today. So deal with that when it comes up. So when was he going to call in, sir? Oh, he's on. Okay, sorry, I didn't hear
online.
you. Okay, Mr. Mendez, go ahead with our Justice Building update.
Good morning, David Mendez with Turner and Townsend Hearing. Apologize for the confusion in my schedule, but I, with everyone's vacation schedules, with the contractor, the architect, we don't have an update on any changes for the project. They are out there working. Things are moving along per the schedule, and the schedule completion date has not changed. An update on the FF&E. The furniture meetings were concluded week before last, and we will get their recommendations next week, and I should have some information to go over with the commissioners after that. I will get that on the agenda as soon as I receive it.
Okay. Any questions for David?
No questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, and
Okay,
Happy New Year.
Thank you. You as well. Bye-bye.
All right, I'm going to call for public comment again because our last item is an executive session. So, anyone on the line? Jonathan? Nope. Okay, then I would take a motion to enter into executive session.
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061F.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. It's 10:56. Is there a motion?
I move that we exit executive session 1F with staff to proceed as discussed.
Second.
Commissioner Matari?
Aye.
Chair Duncan?
Aye. 10:56, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.